Hi, everyone, and welcome to our week 4. It's unbelievable that we are halfway through the course, after this week, of course. So, for this presentation, we're only going to we're going to discuss your expectations for this week, the assignments that we have on tap for this week, and also the readings and the key concepts that are discussed for this fourth week. So let's get started. All right, so our readings for this week are chapter 7 and chapter 8. So chapter 7 is all about deciding how to meet obligations and act responsibly. Okay, so in the actual execution of ethics, if you will, okay, and ethical analysis and problem solving. So how do we approach a problem and solve it in a manner that is ethical, that is binding to our own morals and personal ethics, but also that is consistent with the ethics and the morals, the ethics, the ethical framework and the code of ethics of the organization that we are working in or for. So that's what Chapter 7 is about. Chapter 8 is acting on duty in the face of uncertainty and risk. And so if the word duty rings a bell, that's because it's deontology, right? Dios, which is found in the word deontology, it means duty. And so acting on duty means acting in a manner that is deontological. This is Kantian ethics, right? Of course, in the face of uncertainty and risk. And so you can begin to think about how many times are we faced by risk, by situations that we cannot control, situations in which we don't understand all of the variables or are unaware of all of the variables and don't know what kind of repercussions and what consequences are going to arise as a result of our actions. And so this is all about that. And in this chapter, we discuss whistleblowing. Whistleblowing is a very important concept in the study of ethics. It was made famous, I should say, by the famous Edward Snowden case, right? If you might recall it, a few years back. And whistleblowing is the concept that describes an individual's actions to tell on his or her colleagues, or to whistleblow, to blow the whistle on an action, an event, something that one heard, something that one saw, something that one sees and recognizes as being unethical, immoral, and bottom line, illegal, right? Uh, and so whistleblowing has become a very important concept and a very important part of management and leadership in today's society and all different types of organizations. Specifically, though, in the public organization, it takes on a greater importance because you have constitutional boundaries and constitutional requirements that uh, need to be upheld, right? So sometimes whistleblowing becomes necessary, and sometimes whistleblowing stares at the face of whether an action should be done or not, because you also have uh, consequences from whistleblowing. For example, if think about it in this way: if what happens if you see something or you recognize, say you are working for the federal government, and you identify that an action that the federal government is doing, which is, say they are spying on certain individuals in society, and This is not necessarily constitutional, or it is suspect, or it could be considered a violation, say, of one's privacy, as an example. So say you whistleblow on the person or the department or the agency that is doing this, and you whistleblow, and those responsible are charged and prosecuted, and say they are sent to jail, or at least they are fired. And then 2 months later, a major attack on American soil occurs as a result of that lack of, say, investigation or oversight, however you want to call it. Uh, and because of your whistleblowing, that information and that monitoring of these individuals led to a terrorist organization carrying out a major attack on American soil where 50,000 American citizens, innocent American citizens, were killed. So think about this horrible scenario. Think about the consequences of the whistleblowing. And so you can see that if we look at it from a deontological perspective, from a deontological lens, the fact that you saw something that was wrong required you to act on duty, to whistleblow, to blow the whistle on those individuals, because regardless of the consequences, the actions were unethical. But if we look at this from a utilitarian, from a ends justifies the means perspective, it would not result in the best outcome, because in this case, the whistleblowing has led to a less than desirable outcome. So whistleblowing is in and of itself an ethical dilemma, and it's why it becomes so difficult for people sometimes to carry out this activity, right? And of course, there's other reasons for whistleblowing not being carried out. There's retaliatory techniques, right? And there's consequences for the individual as well, because if you're going to whistleblow and somebody finds out that it's you, you're going to lose your job, right? Chances are an organization will not keep you. And part of it is because even though this is the dilemma, this is the irony of whistleblowing. Organizations create these channels for whistleblowing to take place, but once a person does it, there's a sense of a loss of trust and loyalty, if you will, where the organization feels that this person has, in some sense, violated that trust and loyalty to the institution and to the objectives of the institution. And so you can see that it really raises many questions about morality, about ethics, about what is the right thing to do. And so it's a very important concept that we are studying this week. Okay, so these are the readings. Now you have videos. You have one video is a video on promoting ethical practices. This is a short video. And then you have one on whistleblowing. This one is really interesting. And then we have a video on the steps in the ethical problem-solving model. Okay. All right. And okay, so these are the videos. And now we have our multimedia discussion board. Remember, this is due on Saturday. Using the information in Chapter 7, you identify an ethical dilemma that you might come across as a public administrator. So here, think about our discussion on whistleblowing, our discussion on an ethical dilemma, okay? And, just share it with us. I know sometimes sharing these types of dilemma is not easy, but it would be very interesting to share as much information as possible with these. Okay, so this is your multimedia discussion board. Be as specific as you can as far as the facts of the situation, so that you can kind of set the stage for the situation and the dilemma. Determine your duty in the situation. Analyze the situation according to two or more ethical principles, and choose an alternative uh, and justify the situation if it's possible. Right. So that's the multimedia discussion board, and then you have your written assignment, and this is due on Sunday. This asks you to conduct a Google search, for whistleblower cases in public administration. So you find something similar to tie them together. For example, whistleblowing cases in park and recreation departments, law enforcement. This is in law enforcement specifically is you're going to find quite a few. Voting registration. I mean, that was a big issue, right, in our previous election. So there is potential for unethical, illegal, and even treasonous actions in that respect. You can use news stories or videos to locate details, and then you are asked to develop a thesis paragraph using a thesis sentence followed by 3 themes to frame your paper. So make sure that you have that thesis paragraph and that thesis statement, and make sure that you include multiple theories to frame your paper. Get help from the text, but also you might want to incorporate other peer-reviewed work as well. Okay, so these are your assignments for this week. These are the topics that we're going to be discussing, and as always, I wish you a wonderful week. God bless you all, and have fun.